Edward Dwight was born on September 9, 1933. As a young boy, Edward Dwight dreamed of exploring space. He would go to the library and check out Air Force manuals and any books he could find on the solar system. He would read for hours, draw fighter planes, and take the tests that were in the back of the Air Force manuals. He wished upon the same stars he studied. His wish was to be an astronaut. Dwight's dream of exploring space would not come easy, because he was growing up in a time, the 1960s, where African Americans encountered racism on a daily basis.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. This battle line's being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people.
In spite of the chaos in America during this period of time, Dwight continued following his dream of exploring space. So in 1953, he enrolled in the Air Force Academy. But there was a glimmer of hope in the form of a young president, President John F. Kennedy. Kennedy believed in equality, and he thought the best way to show this would be to send one white, one Asian, and one African American to the moon. That was Kennedy's dream.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
Edward Dwight took the risk of losing his job as an Air Force pilot in order to join Kennedy's space program. Dwight resigned from his job as an Air Force pilot and excitedly accepted Kennedy's offer. He was taking a huge step towards achieving his dream. But when Dwight arrived at the space program, he did not receive the welcome he anticipated. Instead, he was questioned about his experience and qualifications. He was made to feel that he didn't belong. Was it the color of his skin? In the space program, Edward Dwight was in a class of 17 students, but his supervisor didn't bring a warm welcome, as he was the person who brought racism upon him. Dwight's excitement quickly faded. The leader of the harsh treatment, according to Dwight, was Chuck Yeager. Yeager felt that Dwight had not earned his way to the space program. He felt he was only there because of Kennedy's dream to include an African American as part of the team. Chuck Yeager served in World War II and the Vietnam War, but is most famous for being the first man to fly faster than the speed of sound. Yeager would later become the first trainer in the Aerospace Research Pilot School. He trained astronauts but could not become one himself because he only had a high school education. This likely frustrated Yeager and may have fueled some of his actions towards Dwight. Chuck Yeager held a meeting in the auditorium with Edward Dwight's classmates and instructors, and told them not to teach, drink, or socialize with him because they will lose their jobs if he succeeds and graduates. Dwight remembers Yeager telling him, Who got you into the school? Was it the NAACP? Or are you some kind of black Muslim out here to make trouble? Why in the hell would a colored guy want to go into space anyway? As far as I'm concerned, there'll never be one to do it. And if it was left to me, you guys wouldn't even get a chance to wear an Air Force uniform. While Dwight's life inside the space program was miserable, outside of it, he was showered with instant fame and was featured on the covers of Ebony, Jet, and Sepia magazine, and in other news magazines around the world. This may have created jealousy and likely added to the mistreatment. Dwight didn't give up his dream of exploring space and continued on in the space program, hoping to one day reach the stars. But the glimmer of hope soon faded away.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You'll excuse the fact that I'm out of breath, but about 10 or 15 minutes ago, a tragic thing, from all indications at this point, has happened in the city of Dallas. Let me quote to you this. And you'll excuse me if I am out of breath. A bulletin. This is from the United Press, from Dallas. President Kennedy and Governor John Connally have been cut down by assassins' bullets in downtown Dallas. They were riding in an open automobile when the shots were fired. The president, his limp body carried in the arms of his wife, Jacqueline, has rushed to Parkland Hospital.
As President Kennedy was assassinated, taking both the life of the president and crushing Dwight's dream. On Friday, November 22nd, 1963, at 12:30 p.m., Dwight was in a space shuttle simulator. When he got out, he heard that the president was assassinated. Kennedy died on a Friday, and Dwight received a letter on the Monday that followed. The letter said that he was being sent to Germany to work at a test pilot school, but in reality, he was being dropped out of the space program. In our efforts to conduct balanced research, we successfully corresponded with Chuck Yeager on 8 different occasions. He initially asked us to read his book, and then said we could ask him just 2 questions. We carefully wrote our questions and awaited a response. But we did not get the response we anticipated. Instead, Yeager ignored our questions and accused us of lying to him, and demanded us to stop contacting him.
Although we never had our questions answered, Yeager's attitude and actions told us about his character, which confirmed our thesis.
That Edward Dwight was denied an opportunity to explore space due to his encounter with racism. Dwight, on the other hand, has been cooperative and amazingly holds no bitterness about the events. Dwight exchanged his passion for flight and space, and now explores a new passion, sculpting. In conclusion, Edward Dwight was denied an opportunity to become an astronaut, partly because of the racist beliefs that existed in the NASA program. To date, there have been 16 African American astronauts, including 5 African American women. In 1983, Guillaume Bluford became the first African American in space, but there has yet to be an African American to step foot on the moon.